One of the greatest ideas in the world is the Hindu idea that the world is a drama in which the central and supreme self behind all existence gets lost and pretends that he or it is all the creatures that there are and gets totally involved. And thus you see, the more involved, the more finite, the more limited the infinite manages to feel itself to be. The greater the artistry, the greater the depth of the illusion which is created, for you see, all art is in a way illusion. The more there is anxiety, the more there is uncertainty, the more the author or the actors manage to grip you and to persuade you just for a moment that you are actually involved in reality, the more they have succeeded as artists. You may have a faint recognition in the back of your mind that this is after all only a play. When you sit on the edge of your seat and you're sweating and your hands clutch the arms of the chair, the scene so grips you, that is magnificent acting. And so the Hindus feel that the whole arrangement of the cosmos is something exactly like that. But when in the reality of actual life you are sweating it out and you're wondering whether this surgeon who's got to operate on you in a matter of life and death is a competent man or a charlatan, all those matters of terrific crisis are exactly the same as when you're sitting in the theater, sweating it out there. But now a far more convincing theater has been arranged. Because, as the Hindus would say, that in you which is it, the basis of you, the thing that is real in you and that connects you under the surface with every other being that is alive, this is the player of the parts. This is the maker of the illusion, the player of the game which has got you involved in this mess and is living it up in the same way as those actors on the stage are living it up to convince you that this is a real situation. And this is very understandable because basically everybody loves to play this game. The game of hide and seek, the game of scaring oneself, running up behind yourself in the dark and saying, "Boo!" All children like to do this. And this is the most human thing. That's why we go to the play, to the movie, and why we read novels. And our so-called real life is, from the position of the mystic, an extension of the same thing. Because you see, he is the person who suddenly has realized that the game is a game. You see, if the game is hide and seek, or if the game is lost and found, everything to do with the hide side or the lost side is connected with where we as individuals feel lonely, impotent, put down, all the negative side of existence. Now, if I may switch, what is morals? In the sense in which I am using the term morality or morals, it's a set of rules analogous to the rules of language. Now, it's perfectly obvious, isn't it, that we can talk to each other in English only if there is mutual agreement among ourselves as to how to use the language. We don't have too much trouble in coming to this agreement about language. Just as we have to agree in order to communicate about language, we have to agree about, say, the rules of driving on the highway, the rules of doing business, the rules of doing banking. And these are actually rules of the same kind as the rules of grammar. But alas, this is not very often recognized, because authority, the sanctions, the power behind these rules is different from the authority behind grammar. If you transgress the rules of grammar, people will shrug their shoulders and say, well, he doesn't make sense. They won't summon the police. But if you transgress the rules of driving on the highway, or the rules of finances, someone is likely to summon the police. And so one sees the authority of the state as standing behind those rules. I have tried to show you at various times that there's really one simple principle that underlies everything, and it's so simple it's funny. The principle is, all insides have outsides. Because you see, you don't know that the inside is inside unless there's an outside, and you don't know that the outside is outside unless there's an inside. Okay, then you, as you ordinarily feel yourself, are the inside. You are the animate, sensitive being inside the skin. But the inside of the skin goes with the outside of the skin. If there weren't the outside of the skin, there wouldn't be no inside. And the outside of the skin is the whole darn cosmos. Galaxy beyond galaxy and everything, you see? And that goes with the outside, in the same way that front goes with back. So that if you wake up and understand that, you find that the two are one and the same identity, one and the same self, one and the same life. The stars above us, the galaxies, they're not making sense. See? They're making a colossal display of fireworks in the sky. In other words, the intensely serious preoccupations and anxieties of mankind appear from this standpoint. Not to be foolishness, but to be a kind of marvel. There isn't any problem at all. The meaning of being alive is just being alive. That is to say, I look at the color of your hair and the shape of your eyebrow, and I understand that that is the point. That's what we're all here for. And it's so plain, and it's so obvious, and so simple.